Zac Jackson joins us from the Athletic Forum on Twitter at Akron Jackson. He's on the fan hotline. Hello, Zac.
Good morning, gentlemen.
All right, so what do you know? I know that you were paying attention to stuff yesterday. He was in court yesterday on a Sunday. What is the organization feeling? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this happened quickly. I mean, I landed back in Ohio Saturday night, and I had a message informing me that this had gone on. About an hour later, the Browns had their statement and all that. We don't know a ton. We have to let the facts come out. So we know he's out of jail. He is supposed to be hosting a youth football camp here in Cleveland tomorrow. We will see. But outside the court case, and we know he's released, I don't think we have a date yet, right? At least late last night for his next hearing. Mm-hmm. We didn't. So the next date becomes the end of this week when he's supposed to report. And obviously he's one of, I believe, 30 second-round picks who remain unsigned. The Chargers receiver, Trey Harris, is officially a holdout because their rookies went to camp first on their schedule for the Hall of Fame game. So we'll see. So that adds a different layer to this. So, I'm not a lawyer, but last year Mike Hall's incident happened in mid-August, and it was completely adjudicated within 5 or 6 weeks because he ended up pleading no contest. And so he had gone from commissioner's exempt list to they tacked on the suspension, and it was all done. It doesn't usually go that quickly, but we have to let the facts come out here, and we'll see. And this contract situation with this means he could be in limbo, and he could end up missing valuable training camp time for multiple reasons.
Well, I did want to ask about that. You said valuable training time training camp time. When something like this happens, normally it's an injury for a draft pick. Explain just why this is so important that guys are there and ready to go.
Well, the first question to Deuce Staley at the end of minicamp when he did his media availability was about how good the rookie running backs looked and what opportunity they had. And he just laughed. And he said, yes, they look good out here in pajamas. We'll see when they get the armor on, right? And that would be 5 days into camp, which at this point is only 2 weeks away. But for any rookie, Anthony, it's just getting in there. It's getting acclimated. It's the speed of the game, the real reps, all of that stuff. So the way I have viewed this thing all along is that Jerome Ford is the Browns starting running back until he's not. And that how quickly Quinshon Judkins goes from having a role to having the lead role was always going to be up to him, and how quickly he progressed and pass protected and picked up the offense and all of those things. So, him being there would be a part of that. And, as far as the draft, obviously using pick 36 on him, that means they liked him, means they had big plans for him. Some teams did like TreVeyon Henderson better, and for a lot of last season, Ohio State, probably did too. But they're both talented guys, and the Browns saw Judkins as the better fit for what they wanted to do and how they wanted to use him. And like I said, even if he wasn't going to be the starter, which I don't think he ever was going to be in game one, there are and were big plans for him, and you just have to see what happens with all of this as far as his availability.
Yeah, so what happens now with the contract stuff? Ken had mentioned right away, like, how do you sign a guy when this is hanging over their heads? And why is it that so many of the second round picks around the NFL have not been signed?
Well, that part is easy. It's because they're going for full guarantees, and the Browns' first second round pick got that. Houston signed theirs first, and they're going for full guarantees, and that's kind of new. So when these situations are rare in this new CBA, but when there's a shift in these things, this is when they happen, right? Like what's going on in Cincinnati, where the Bengals aren't bending on language that other teams bend on. So it's the full guarantee holding it up there. It does add a layer here, and we just don't know. But yeah, this comes down to, in these situations, the NFL begins investigating immediately, right, because of the use of the commissioner's exempt list and all of that. The team begins obviously investigating immediately, and they'll just have to trust what they see. I mean, it puts the importance of it being quickly of finding out, what they think really happened here. And so, maybe that will take care of itself in the legal system. We don't know at this point, but certainly him not being under contract adds a layer of mystery and potential complication in terms of him, being on the field. If the Browns have qualms, or if there is, a drawn out legal process coming up.
Why are there so many second-round draft picks not signed?
It's because they're all going for full guarantees, Ken. That's because the first two to sign got them. So they want that. Generally, your first rounder gets all the first rounders get it fully guaranteed or close, and then it cuts off. And so this year, the first two second rounders got those, and everybody else wants them. And so teams have been resistant there. So, like Trey Harris, the only one who's officially holdout. That's a great example. Obviously, the Chargers need help at wide receiver, right? Obviously, he's not a finished product. Like, he needs to be in camp. So we'll see. And teams, I think, considering 30 of the 32 are unsigned, I think teams were willing to think that they were going to win, that the other side was going to blink first. But we have to see that. Always when these things happen, it's about deadlines, and teams, the rookies are reporting at various times this week. So, you don't officially become a holdout until then. But certainly with the Browns, I think, they have the two returning running backs, Ford and Strong, and then the two they drafted. I think they have one other back in camp because you usually do that. But anytime you're short a guy, even for a day, your whole rotation is affected. And anytime a young player misses time, he falls behind, at least in theory and usually in practice. So that would obviously spur action in terms of where they would have to go. I do think for the most part, the Browns have their 90. I do think they will continue to be looking at wide receiver among other places. But yeah, if he's not going to be in camp, the guy that you would think it was at least going to be your number 2 running back, you would have to make a move or at least be watching to see who else, what other options you might have at that position.
Zac Jackson with us. All right, let's move on to a player that's been talked about recently. Seems like everybody's been weighing in on whether the Browns should sign David Njoku, do an extension. Is he a Cleveland Brown in 2026?
Well, he probably has to be because of how much money he takes up on the cap, whether he's on the team or not, right? But he has to have the David Njoku year of 2 years ago because you couldn't possibly extend him if he has last year's year. And we'll have to see what he wants and where it is. I think there's a chance that David Njoku gets 150 targets on this team. And, if he's healthy and explosive, he turns those into those, and he becomes the unique player that he's been at times, 8 or 10 games over his career. And we'll see. But Teller's in the same boat. I mean, they owed all these guys a bunch of money, but they don't have them under contract. So there's going to have to be more maneuvering here. They just don't have a ton of guys under contract, period. This whole window was designed for last year and this year. So we'll see. And without passing any judgment on what Quinn Sean Judkins did or didn't do, because we don't know, right? Like, let's not run from it. This rookie class being good might determine whether this front office has any chance to stay.
Well, then that ends up being a knock on Andrew Berry, does it not? I mean, if he's not available, it ends up being a knock, no matter what. Obviously this is not about optics. This is whatever happened or didn't. But like, the optics are awful, Ken. Right? I mean, with my call last year, and then this now, and Devin Bush has a pending trial for assault on a woman. Right? So the optics are awful. But this, as far as this team showing that it can be a relevant football team, like, these young players, and not just the first 4 picks, but specifically this rookie class, among other guys, young players on this team, no matter how they're acquired, like, this rookie class has to be a hit, or this thing could go from bad to worse real quick. Zac Jackson joining us here on the Fan Hotline from The Athletic. Follow him on Twitter at Akron Jackson. Chances David Njoku gets signed?
Yeah, I mean, we have to let that see how he's going to be healthy. I mean, in theory, did they draft his replacement in Harold Fannin? Yes. What does that mean for the offense? Are both of them used in the offense? Can David Njoku be an explosive and consistent player? Sure. Like I said, I will not be surprised if he's the leading receiver and at least the leading target guy, because they've long believed that you don't have to get David Njoku a complicated route so you can get him the ball and let him create, but he's got to be available and he's got to produce when those chances come. And, like, he obviously has the rapport with Flacco. Flacco can throw it a little more down the field. But if one of the other quarterbacks is in there, I think you're going to see a lot of quick passes to the tight ends.
All right, what about Wyatt Teller's future? Because you got Zach Zinter there, but you also have Joel Bitonio, who's probably going to retire after this year.
Yeah, Zach Zinter's the guy to watch during camp.
because when I saw him playing center in the spring, I thought, is that because they think that he can be the center in a year, or is that because they're not sure that they have any position for him? And we don't know that right now, but based on his rookie year, he would not be in the plans. So he just has to improve. And a lot of guys have a bad rookie year and come out, so we have to see. But yeah, I mean, I think they feel good about their 5 starters on the offensive line, and they should in different ways, and potentially really good. But what's behind them and the age of 4 of those 5 is concerning. And then the 5th is DeJuan, who's never played a full season. But if DeJuan's a hit, like, that's a big deal. If Cedric Tillman's a hit, that's a big deal. But we just don't know. We have to see those guys improve and stay healthy.
All right, you covered Johnny Manziel. You covered Baker Mayfield when things got started here. How big of a, quote, circus do you think Shedeur Sanders is going to be, if at all?
I don't know about right. I mean, obviously there's elements to his popularity and the fact that he's clearly more talented than any 4th quarterback that's ever been on a training camp field, right? Like, that's just not how it goes. But yeah, this is strange because they clearly like that Dylan Gabriel. They said that by their words and their actions, and then they undercut him by drafting another quarterback. I don't know how long you can have a real 4-person competition and also get ready for a season. I don't know how long you can give Joe Flacco reps off because he's just played so much more than the other guys, but also think that he's going to be your starter. Like, we have to see how this thing goes. And, I don't know, Anthony, we'll have to see how the crowds go and how everything goes with all of that. But the thing for Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders is they need to be really good early in camp, on and off the field, because they have to earn reps with better players, because either one of them out there with XFL guys and undrafted rookies is going to have a real hard time, when people are watching. So it's going to be a wild few weeks because the only open practices are the first 2 weeks. Then they have those joint practices in very different situations. And by the time those are gone, like, we're to the end of the preseason, right? So this is like a situation that really doesn't have much precedent. And they did have a true competition of some sort back in 17, right? Which led to a winless season, which led to Deshaun Kaiser playing when he shouldn't have, all of those things. But this competition to me is totally different. And, even though I feel strongly that Flacco will probably be the starter on week 1, I truly don't know how this is going to go 1 through 4, or who's going to be here, or who's going to be playing in, say, week 9 or week 11.
If there's an odd man out in the quarterback room, who is it?
I mean, based on what I think right now and who it would be, that would be Kenny Pickett. But I think it's way too early to say that with any, because, like, I guess I won't be stunned if Kenny Pickett's the week 1 starter. Nothing I've seen in the spring or before that would make me think that's the right move. But based on the team's moves, I wouldn't be stunned. So I don't know. I think it's fair to wonder if Shedeur will ever play a real down. Well, I don't know that because of the situation that he's in. But do I think he has the talent to potentially be a starting quarterback in this league? Yes, but potentially, eventually, not this September.
Zach, I want to apologize for you. I thought he was asking why Quinshon Judkins was not signed. I didn't realize the question. I tuned out through half of the question. I apologize for repeating a question.
You got a lot. You got youth football practice on your mind. I understand.
I looked at my phone and I had a light up from Keith, and I went, "Damn it! Did I make a mistake?" And I did. I'm sorry about that.
Why do you guys start youth football so early? Like, is Hugh Jackson running this league? We need kids in full pads.
Hey, brother. Hey, I'm only one voice, and I don't even think I have a vote there. But I'm not gonna discuss league matters on the radio here. If I had my way, I'd do some things differently, but I can't discuss it.
Well, I'm not coming on anymore unless we can discuss league matters on the radio. So,
Zach, youth sports are now a $40 billion business, according to the New York Times. Your thoughts?
Yeah. There's one scumbag in Akron who tries to make $40 billion every weekend renting out city parks and not even having those bathrooms open.
Oh my God! Owen, hit the thing for the love of God!
I want to hear both. I want to hear both sides. It's important we get to both sides.
I don't want to hear any more.
Hey, text me that scumbag's name.
Zach, I screwed up. I'm sorry.
If I can make money renting out a city park, I should do it. It's a nice side hustle.
I appreciate your time. All the best, and give my very best to the fine folks with Manchester Youth Football.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Zac Jackson on the Fan Hotline.